Everybody wants to pull their mics down. We'll look for approval of the previous minutes. Is there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, we'll take a motion to approve it.
So moved.
A motion, we'll take a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. With that, we'll go on to the coordinator report. Staff.
Okay. A couple of things. Wanted to update you guys. We were finally able to have our rescheduled meeting with MnDOT for the roadside landscape partnership that we are going to be doing with them this spring. They actually took the plans that we had originally presented and expanded on it. So I do have what their proposed plan is, along with all of the materials needed that we will be working with sergeants on to see if we can get everything through them still and what the labor cost might be on that. So just in case anybody wants to see, we also have to hold a couple of meetings, one with the business owner as well, just to ensure that they in fact are aware and comfortable of what we're going to be doing. So I wanted to bring the updated plans, and the awesome thing with that meeting, Scott and Todd, who we're working with, have essentially said that they would be up for doing a project every year going forward with us as long as we have projects within the community along the trunk highways. So we can have potential projects as well for landscaping and beautification with them if we so choose to go through that process again. So I wanted to update on that. In your guys' packet, I also wanted to provide a housing study recap.
Before you
Yeah.
go on that, if that's all, it's a grant, then we pay it, and then they pay us back, is that?
Yeah, so essentially they'll pay up to $8,000 worth of project costs. What they don't cover might be like some of the labor costs. There are certain things that aren't covered within it that the city would have to pay for, but based on what we talked, we are pretty sure it's going to be a very minimal amount.
Okay.
But yeah, they'll pay up to $8,000.
Because I know now that you said they expanded it, I just didn't want to get over the $8,000 limit.
Yep, no, and that's one thing too, where in talking to sergeants, they picked everything that they picked based off of, they go through, is it Bachman's up in the cities, for all of their wholesale stuff. So that's where they got their price estimates from. If sergeants is different, then we may have to make considerations and narrow the scope of the project. And what they also said too is we can phase it, so if it's more than we want to spend this year, we could finish the plantings through another round of the partnership next year. So it could just go in a phased situation, just to make sure we stay within that level.
Okay.
So.
Just want to make sure.
Yep, yep. And then the next thing I have, Tom last month at our meeting had asked if I could put together our recap of the Eastern submarket for our housing study. So there is a document, I won't review it, just wanted you guys to have a copy of it to go over. This is a draft. The housing study, there will actually be a presentation on April 17th at 4:30 at the Government Services Building. It's a Wednesday. Maxfield will come present their final findings. They are making some revisions, but the information that I pulled, I don't anticipate it changing, but again, it is just a draft of what the Eastern submarket is currently looking like and anticipating for needs. And then, anybody have any questions on that at all?
Just can you send out the email when the...
Yep, I'm gonna put together an announcement for the county.
Okay.
So once I have that put together and formatted on county stationery, I'll send it to everybody, so that way you have that for your calendars. And then one other item that I don't have listed on my coordinator report or on the agenda, I did want to let you guys know, Dan and Chris are probably aware of this based on council stuff, but I have been working with Teresa and Brandon to put together a DNR Trail Connections grant for the creation of a trail connection off of Sunset Trail in County 21 that would cut across the north side of the Methodist Church and provide an additional trail section right along Veterans Memorial Park and the Aquatic Center. That way, trail users have direct access to the park facilities. Right now, unless they walk through public and private property both, or on the roadways. There is no really very good way to access the parks from that trail. So we are going to be submitting a grant application. It's due at the end of this month. Right now, we've got, or we'll be getting letters of support from the county, I believe the school, in addition to 1 or 2 private parties, and I am going to address it with the city of Casson today after our meeting, just because their residents and visitors to Manorville will have benefit as well, because they'll be able to have direct access off of Sunset to the aquatic center. So I'm going to go seek letters of support, so if anybody is interested or knows anyone that may think that it's worth a letter of support, let me know and I can contact them. Anybody have any other questions at all on my report that I sent out?
And we'll move on to election of secretary.
Yeah. So we did some research after last month's meeting, and the secretary does need to be reappointed on an annual basis. However, it does not have to be a board member or city staff specifically. So since I'm a contracted employee, you can appoint the EDA coordinator, and I would probably recommend appointing it just as that EDA coordinator. So if for some reason I were not in the community and somebody were to fill in my place for, you know, a month or something and did the minutes, then they can sign, you know, they can sign off on them as well. So that would be my recommendation, unless somebody else here wants to do the minutes.
Sounds like fantastic.
I make a motion that we make the EDA coordinator our secretary.
And I second that.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It makes the most sense though, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And you're doing it anyway.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with it, so.
We do appreciate it.
Most people don't have an issue giving up that job duty. Okay, see here, the next thing on the agenda I have, that was sent to me, Dodge County Expo, on March 30th. The Dodge County Home and Business Expo is going to be happening at Triton High School in Dodge Center from 8 a.m. to 2. At this point, I think it might be a little late in the game to consider a booth, depending on what all materials we would want to be able to present. But knowing that this is done on an annual basis, I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention in case holding a booth for the city of Casson would be something that's ever of interest, and to kind of discuss the opportunity.
Really takes bodies. We've done it for years for CARE, and you know, you just have to get the volunteers too, you know, and it's a few hours, but it's still hard.
Right.
We talked about it last year, did we not?
I was not here, so if you did, I
Did
wasn't privy
Teresa?
to that conversation. Teresa didn't recall it.
Okay.
I don't
I don't
remember.
recall
It was brought up.
cities represented there.
Chambers and stuff, but not,
Yeah, chambers, all their businesses,
not that they couldn't be, but I haven't
yeah.
been in years.
I think you need somebody that's got that, we wanna sell this enthusiasm, you know, to meet and greet.
Right, and I don't know, being that I've never been to the home show, like, I worked the Stewartville booth at the Rochester Area Builders Home Show for the last 2 years, and you get a huge, I can't compare because I have never been here, but in Rochester you get a lot of developers and residents alike, so you can promote both land and living stuff, where I don't know if this one has that same type of traffic to make it
No, it's
worthwhile.
No, it's more shoppers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
People looking for town.
you could definitely go this year just to check it out, and
Yeah.
then maybe have more of an idea, and then we can look at it for next year, but I'd say now,
We usually did it for informational, you know, to let people know, you know, what was happening with the school, inside the school building or whatever, but, yeah, it wasn't,
Okay, that is be a
There were no
guidance.
developers that I can remember at
No,
all.
there's a lot of senior citizens out looking for the,
And parents
the
of
deal
kids
that's
looking
going
for
on. Well,
the,
and a lot of kids,
Well,
parents with
there's
kids,
a
cause
lot
they're
of
really
parents with
dancing stuff,
kids,
they have
yeah.
the dance stuff going on.
Kinda like
The
the
candy,
Christmas
frisbee.
thing,
Yeah.
you know, on Main Street.
Yep.
Yeah, I would compare it to that
Okay.
more.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, I'll hold on to that, and if I can make it to, I'll report back on what my thoughts were walking through as well for next year
Yeah.
possibly.
Perfect.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, I received an email from Ron, our CEO of EDA.
Mhm.
He was contacted with regards to the Minnesota Tax Credit Contribution Fund for affordable housing. They right now are seeking letters of support, for this potential fund, as it's going to be reviewed, and essentially, it's gonna be modeled after North Dakota's Housing Incentive Fund. And what it is, encouraging local businesses and neighbors to invest in their community. The program is capitalized by contributions from taxpayers that have state tax liabilities. Participating taxpayers receive credit against their state tax liability in exchange for contribution to a specific development or general loan pool. The program relies on their support to provide low-cost financing for developers and affordable housing. So, right now, they're just looking for letters of support from, whether it's the Economic Development Authority directly or, a city agency, just to try and get this passed so that there is that, additional option. And this is being put together by Minnesota Housing Partnership. So I don't know if it's something that, needs to be, I put a sample too of the letter and how it reads, in your packet. It's done electronically, so it's not something that a resolution specifically would have to be passed for, it's just filled out online. Not sure if it's something that would have to be recommended to council, or you'd want to recommend to council, or if the EDA can do it, or how you'd wanna handle that.
I guess if we did it, I'd still recommend to council.
Council?
Make sure.
So it's a voluntary, check the box, I wanna donate $1 or $5 or whatever to this fund, is what they're proposing.
Essentially, if people have additional money that they would like to contribute.
Cause there's like a bill going through, isn't there right now, they're trying to get through for housing funds too, through the state? I think Olmsted County was working with it, I don't remember.
Yeah, I heard some of those.
I thought there was something, I can't remember, I think Senator Nelson was working with it a little bit. I can't remember.
I'm not sure, this is what Ron passed out to me, and if there was something else I missed it, so I'm gonna apologize.
I can't remember, so there's too many things I've heard that.
Well, and there's a lot of things going on right now with trying to get additional funding for
Yeah, so
multiple
then,
different
yeah.
things, so.
I would have no problem recommending to the council to look at it.
Right.
It's a voluntary thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Each taxpayer has the right to volunteer to do it or not.
I second that. Do we have any more discussion? Tom, just get near, let him look at it quick.
So these dollars are controlled by the state then?
So, essentially, I think what happens is you can have a specific designation for, like, a specific development. So if there was a development that, like, say, Minnesota Housing Partnership, I believe, was working on or in partnership with in the community, if I understood how it was presented to me correctly, like, you could designate funds specifically for that development, or just a general fund in which would then be dispersed amongst other projects. So I think it's a way to be able to control investment within your own community and to get projects to happen, at an affordable cost.
So Casson would have their own little pot.
Well,
Well,
If there was a
If there
project.
was
If there was a
project.
project that was here,
yeah,
people were.
that's what I'm saying,
Yeah, yeah.
if we had housing projects that we have.
My assumption would be, by a certain date, you have to have your project approved for the following year, then when we're doing taxes every year, do you wanna donate to that, Janice? The Casson project is code 4-2, and then the money would be allocated to that specific project, or you could just choose the general.
And the timeline for the fruition of this project would be, what if the project never came to fruition? Would you get a refund back?
I don't think,
Well,
yeah.
you don't designate it to a project within the city of Casson
Yeah.
unless it's actually happening.
Approved.
So like if there are people out there that have a lot of money and need to get rid of some of it prior to tax season, they could just say, well, I wanna contribute it to this fund, and, you know, essentially what they say is what goes around comes back around.
Okay.
And I have a lot of people lined up, I just like to
Yeah.
get rid of some money.
Yeah, hey,
I'll take it.
But essentially, in North Dakota, I think they say for every $1 invested by a private party, there's roughly $5 leveraged in that. So the return on investment is much greater, and it allows projects to be done at a more affordable cost, which we
Yeah.
need affordable housing, so.
I see they say that, where's that other $4 come from?
From government and.
From government,
yeah.
from state or local?
When here it said,
Combination of.
I just saw it too. Where did I see it? It was,
I think that's,
Well-
for every dollar that, through the program,
It says by
there's
leveraging
$5.
other private, state, and federal resources.
yeah. So that could be grants, or it could be,
Or just the developer
Developer.
putting up the money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, I can't do 100% of it, but if there was
Somebody
some
wants
help
to
there, I
chip
could
in
come up with
some, yeah.
80% of it.
yeah.
Okay.
Creates the, this is just a letter of support saying we
Yeah.
support
Yeah.
them
Them
exploring
going
to
into-
pursuing, starting this program.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Get more information.
Well, we have a first and a second. Do we have any more comments, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So then we'll send it to the council.
Yep, I'll provide it.
Sorry.
I'll provide it to both Teresa and Linda to get in the next council packet.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is city logo.
Yes. So, I know we had visited a draft of the city logo that, Joya had thrown together for one of her Illustrator courses, and kind of put it on the back burner for now, just at this point, not certain as to what the real need of a logo is and things like that. Dan and I both sit on the Citizens Advisory Committee for that Trunk Highway 57 project that will be happening in 2021. And one of the discussions with that group is, as that reconstruct goes on, what things do we want to do for aesthetics and beautification purposes. And one of the things laid out in the comprehensive plan is wayfinding signage, which could be a part of the project within this updated corridor. And with that, all of the wayfinding signage we're finding has community logos on the top of them, which has kind of pressed the issue of addressing the city logo and updating that. So, I did, because the county logo was something everyone had found interest in, which is included in your packet. I reached out to Jay, who is the designer of that, he's with Action Graphic Design, for a proposal, in addition to, Fran's Repo Graphics, Matt Decker, who had come highly recommended as well, just to get some proposals from them on what logo work would cost and what would be included in that cost. In talking with Joya, just because the scope of this project has gone slightly outside of just a new logo, obviously there's gonna be some brand standards and things like that that we wanna make sure that we stick to, just to make sure everything throughout the community is cohesive, I guess you could say. She said she would be more than willing to help you know, advised, but at this point, that's more work than at CETA we're willing to do, just because we don't have a graphic design department to have designated to that. So, I did include a couple of proposals with some of their work, that I figured we could review and gauge interest on proceeding with the update of the city logo. The one that Jay provided, it's not to exceed $1,080 for his work. It would include, logo design and layout with, icon development and text manipulation. He would also include, multiple digital formats, so the city would own all of those copies. And he would give a brand standard booklet in that to show what logo should be used when and where with what fonts and the specific color chart. So his is the first option. He again is the one who did the county logo. I know it took quite a bit of time for the county to come up with this, going back and forth with him just to make sure that they had everything that they desired. So the timing on this, he says it's generally, 3 to 5 weeks, but that's also very dependent upon our feedback as well. So, it could take longer than that. The second request that I had received, or quote, was from Matt Decker at Franz Repo Graphics in Rochester. Their final estimate was not to exceed $480. And essentially with this one, it would be initially just the logo, just so we have a usable logo to be able to update some of our stuff now. But at an additional cost, we can work with them to create the brand manual that would be included in the Action Graphics one. I did ask Matt roughly how much that would cost, and he said on average, the brand manuals no more than, he hasn't seen it more than $200. On average, it would be $150 to create that brand manual with them. I don't have it printed, but I do have it on my computer, along with the logo work he's done. All of the signs around Rochester Park and Rec facilities, those have all been designed by him. So, Franz is very familiar with wayfinding signage and all of that stuff too. So if ever there needed to be a relationship there, I know we have a sign company in town that I think we use, but worst case, there could always be a relationship there too. So I just wanted to present those and kind of see where everybody's thoughts were, knowing this upcoming project that we're going to be having and needing to.
Yeah, 'cause with the wayfinding project, our goal is to have the signs more than just on 57. We want to get them in different areas of town, get them over by the school, get them so people know where that, pretty much all over town is our goal. It's going to take time, but we want to finalize everything and then make it all work in steps.
Are we not opening this up to any local input for the community members that may have an opinion beyond the board? I mean, I think that they have some extremely talented, you know, buttons for your festival, and I guess as living here, I would like to see some possible input from people who live here.
Are you looking for open bids, or are you looking
I'm
for,
looking for
like, the
design.
input during the design period?
Yeah.
Getting input?
Yeah, more, the design, not the,
Yeah.
I don't think there's somebody, well, I don't know, there could be somebody that says, I can do this for you. But I just would feel more comfortable if it came from Casson community member, resident.
We've got two who've been pretty consistent as far as professional artists who've pretty much dominated the button contest for the last 15 years. When we open it up to adults too, so I could reach out to them further, but, I mean, Randy's,
Yeah.
he's a professional designer, drawer,
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, not that, I mean, Jay is from the local area, he's, originally grew up in Byron, it's not that far away. But, yeah, I don't know where we think we need a new city logo. We have new people who live here, we have new possible thoughts.
I'd say we still go with a company.
Yep.
Like you said, and if we go forward with this, we can open it to the community during an open forum where they can come and give input, and then we can forward that information on. So that way we have the whole community involved. I mean, we could have more than one meeting. It's no different than when we had the comprehensive plan. We had
I just think
city
that
input.
if we're at this point,
Mhm.
we need to share with them or put out with them, hey, if you've got some thoughts or you'd like to be involved, we don't wanna have it done, and then have somebody say, what's that? Well, I could've thought of it better,
It's gonna happen anyway.
It's gonna happen,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
But, I mean,
But
we
we
could
can at
still,
least try.
we could still open it up. I don't
Yeah.
know why we couldn't. We'd still like to, like to
Yeah.
hire a professional, not that,
I think that, to be honest with you, I think that makes your city council and your board seem a little more,
Only towards the public.
yeah, open to, their voters,
right?
you know?
And it's easy enough to do to have a meeting,
Yeah,
public forum. I mean, even if it was big enough, we could have it at school or wherever.
Yeah,
So
people
it's
just
right here.
bring their
Right, yeah.
ideas in and go from there.
I know, I agree. So, on that note, we'll add that in to the design. I mean, the board agrees. I think it's a good idea. It doesn't-
I do too.
But coming down to picking if these are the two, I'd like to know exactly how much his quote is on the book,
He said at max, that I have it in email documentation,
Okay.
and I was sure to save it, he said it generally doesn't cost any more than $200, which.
So that would put him
even
at
if it-
680.
Yeah, even if it were to exceed that, he still comes in lower than the others.
Yes.
yeah.
So,
Did we contact Able Sign? Did they do this?
I did not contact Able, I just asked Jim Elmquist at the county, who it was that they contacted. He said they had contacted a number in the area, and Jay was the one who they ended up
Oh,
going with. He also was the one who recommended Matt Decker, but he wasn't aware of his work until after the process had started, so he wasn't one that the county had formally ever considered for it. But I did go based off of Jim's recommendations, because they did quite a bit of research at the county prior to, making their final decision on who to go with.
Does he able to design?
Not that I know of.
Not
He-
design work,
I
but
mean-
he could do the sign, so that's what I'm kinda thinking, someone design it and he could do the sign.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
signage,
Yeah.
yeah. This
he's
is
done
just for-
design work for
Just-
us over the years,
Does he?
yeah.
Yeah, they've done it in the past, I know.
Mhm.
Okay. Good deal.
Well, I shouldn't say him, Jim would.
I'll say Jim,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Now, Chris knows.
Stuff or not, but.
Well, I guess for now,
Do we have to make a decision?
I think
this month?
if we're gonna do something, we should be putting it out, saying, here, we're looking at redesigning the logo, anyone interested, please come to a meeting, or something in that order, or contact us through email or whatever.
We don't have to make a decision on
No.
which one we want today.
We can table it if
There's
you
Yeah.
want to.
there's no deadline.
not right now,
Right.
no.
When, for your project, for the greenery or whatever, are we looking at trying to get?
Well, that's not till 2021 for the signage, but it
Oh, we have to
would-
have the signage approved
it-
beforehand.
Yeah, MinDOT
Yeah.
has to approve everything, which will take time
Yeah.
itself, so
So we're talking a year?
to, I guess my
We wanna get
Brandon.
the logo done though,
Yeah.
sooner than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And the other-
Right, but as far as the wayfinding signage, that's
Right.
not gonna be
That's-
installed till 2021,
Right.
Yeah.
which we aren't even gonna start the bidding process on that till next winter.
Yeah,
So,
so the logo could be decided
we've got a couple
within the
months to
next couple
decide.
months.
on the logo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming this is something that we would want to recommend to council.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
For
Yeah.
payment, so.
So, maybe if you wanna put it out for a bid, see what kind of feedback you get,
Well,
For a bid or for ideas?
or ideas.
for ideas.
Why not make, well, yeah, proposal, or, cause then you say you wanted to open it up to more community for different businesses too, to put a quote in, or a estimate. Isn't that what we're kinda,
I think it was just
Or
more
is it
so
just for ideas?
concept, conceptual.
Yeah.
okay,
Because both these projects, for billing purposes, they have logo design. So
Right.
they're spending some time on logo design, so if we had
Some ideas from the.
some ideas, or
Mhm.
freebie design.
Right, there
you
might
know.
be somebody who comes and says, hey, how about this, and it's done, perfect, and then it wouldn't cost the city anything, am I right?
So,
Design is perfect.
do we wanna just have like an open, like, public meeting, like at the beginning of our next EDA meeting, and we can push it out through social media? And, like, do it that way, or do you think we need to give more lead time for people to see it? How do you wanna work?
Well, maybe a little more time to do like the
Yeah.
May meeting.
Yeah.
That way we can
May.
get out the
Yeah.
utility newsletter,
Okay.
which goes to everybody with a utility account.
Maybe we
and not
could put
just
an
like-
ad in the paper.
Yeah, something in the paper.
yeah.
You know, I do think that if, even if we have a, you know, a resident that gives us kind of the start of a logo, we would probably still end up needing to hire
Oh,
somebody
Yeah.
to, a professional
Yeah.
to
Right.
make
Yeah,
it
pull it off,
logo-ish,
yeah.
and then do this,
Plus of all the software.
design, the software,
Yeah, all
then the
the-
design package and create the usable.
All the formats it needs to be in.
And
the
copyright.
and all the.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if we can reduce the amount of time that goes into logo design, so that where there's less back and forth and it's a faster
Right.
process, I think that could,
Be
could
beneficial.
help streamline a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've also got the local,
Ideas
little
in it.
local input
Yeah,
on.
we have
Correct.
decided and told them, this is gonna be your logo. And you're gonna like it.
That's right.
And we put it out there, yeah.
Okay, I'll put together some, like, an announcement for a public meeting on our May meeting then, to discuss that. Okay, the other thing I have, for our Taps and Connections, I wanted to talk about a couple of things, along with the agenda for this week. How do we feel as though that's going? Do we feel like we need to make an adjustment for April, time-wise?
I didn't make it
I didn't
month.
either.
How
So
did
how
it,
was the last
anybody?
one? How
It
many
was-
people
my-
came?
My recommendation would be to somehow get a firmer agenda of that, this is what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
Cause it was kind of an open-ended, it kinda got hijacked by someone.
Uh-oh.
That's about all I'll say right now.
How
so
many people came?
8 or 10?
Yeah.
8 or 10.
Okay, so it was.
With,
that's a good
that was,
turnout.
with, that was a combination of both some of board members and,
How many people that weren't sort of
one,
required to be there?
2, 4,
Three.
5, 4?
3 or 4 from the public? Maybe?
Yeah.
Still pretty good,
Yeah.
4 or 5 people, I mean,
Yeah.
3, 4?
I'm sure part of the year, people are not getting out in the weather either.
Well, yeah, and it's new.
That's
You know,
new, yeah.
I mean, you can sometimes have something started and, you know, 6 months after, you say, well, when is that? Well, they stopped it, nobody came.
Yeah.
So you have to give them.
I'm curious to see if the 2 o'clock does anything,
Yeah,
because both of the first 2 have been in mornings.
yeah.
Mornings are busy.
And the last
People
one, there was
opening their
snow,
business or whatever.
there was snow
Oh,
pretty good
terrible.
that morning, so there
Yeah.
was 5, 6 inches of fresh snow that people were taking care of, so it'd be interesting to keep it going.
Well, isn't this when the big snowstorm's supposed to come now?
That's
Not
down in
till-
Iowa.
Ian, it's not till
Saturday.
Saturday. I'll be
Saturday's
in St.
great.
We were
Antonio,
taking
so I
off
don't
all
care.
mass, so we have no clue.
No.
They're talking now it's more rain.
Totally kidding.
But anyway,
So,
All right.
we need more of an agenda,
This
more
This
of
one's
a,
at 2 o'clock.
this one's at 2 o'clock, yeah. And I don't know, like, if we wanna talk now about, 'cause April, I don't have a time set. So I don't know if we wanna wait until we see how the 2 o'clock one goes, and then.
I'd wait and then we can decide through email.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But I agree with Crystal, you need kind of an agenda to make sure we can somewhat follow.
Our primary, in talking, Teresa and I talking, we felt like housing, the topic of housing and how to educate people on the different types of housing was what made the most sense for our topic last month, just with all of the discussions we've had going on with developers and what the housing studies kind of unveiled. And it started out that way, it was just, we worked to keep it on task, and it kind of went off of that a little bit. So,
Part of it too, you could even just, during it, you could mention about the cities looking for ideas for a logo.
that's what I was thinking, was to bring it up there.
Yeah.
Because that'll get it started.
Yeah.
And help spread it.
Yeah.
Sort of input.
And the other thing too, I can try and make flyers and maybe hand flyers out at businesses to hang, so if people see the flyer for a public meeting too, that's an inexpensive way to like, put it on bulletin boards and stuff like that.
Or
where
just
that-
give it out at the chamber meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll put something together. So for our agenda for Thursday, anybody have any ideas? One thing being that this Highway 57 reconstruct, we're in a lot of conversations with that. One thing Teresa and I had talked about was what things maybe could we do to assist the businesses through that process, if there's anything that the EDA can do to make it easier for our Main Street businesses that may be impacted, things like that. But I wanted your guys' input just to see what your thoughts were on.
I mean, just as a big Main Street business, right at that corner, it'd be nice to know what the impact would be. I mean, it's great we can, EDA can offer to help people through what the impact would be, but what is the impact going to be? How long is that intersection of the stoplight going to be closed?
And which we're gonna have to get from your engineer.
Yeah, I mean, which we're gonna have to get from the engineer, the process, but, I mean, all that's good, but we need to know what the impact's gonna be.
Before we
know if we can offer for assistance, really.
Right.
Because it might not be much of an impact, or it might be.
But I thought they talked about doing that in segments, or at least when I went to the meeting before. Yeah.
But
So,
that one's
doesn't
gonna be,
like it.
that's gonna be the main corner.
Yeah.
That's gonna take some work, because it's along the liquor store, that whole corner, right now tentatively looking at retaining wall, plantings, so it might,
That's not even on Highway 57.
well, it's Main Street 57. It's
Yeah.
that whole corner, so I mean, it's gonna
The
interfere
corner.
with.
Yeah, so.
That parking lot.
Yeah.
To talk about
Is that what you meant, the parking lot?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Anybody else have any other ideas for agenda items to discuss that?
I think those two would keep you busy enough.
Okay.
Let me just kind of recap what we went through here. That Minnesota tax credit contribution fund.
Mhm.
Okay.
Letter of support that we're gonna recommend to the council for that. The next agenda item is that Southeast Minnesota Diversification Loan Fund.
Yeah.
Something about that too, so if there's any of that stuff that we can get out there, the facade improvement program, recap that again.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we have other business, we got Journey to Growth, the Venture Southeast Minnesota Diversification Loan Fund. This is,
Okay, so I didn't know, Heather came and presented to the council, correct?
Correct.
So I didn't know if it made more sense for one of you to present on what she had approached council on, or?
So we had, Heather Holmes from Journey to Growth come and present, and council approved a resolution to move forward with support of this Venture Southeast Minnesota Diversification Loan Fund. They're going to the state to ask for $25 million revolving loan fund that can be used in Southeast Minnesota for everybody but Rochester. Rochester can't apply, the state of Rochester. It's a loan for, and it can be anything, as you can see, for agriculture, manufacturing, technology, healthcare, childcare. What they say, it's like for every dollar, $8 of capital investment for every $1 of state money. So it's just a way to help business or get that extra step to move forward. They don't know if it's gonna pass. They're trying to they wanted all the cities and counties around to help give them support, so when they go to the community hearings, they can lay out a fan fold of, these are all the cities in Southeast Minnesota that are supporting us, so saying that this is something we want down here.
And yeah, my understanding, it was introduced yesterday,
Yeah.
I think in the House. And the loan fund would be for individual businesses to apply, but also municipalities, counties, entities within that government entity that could also apply. So if there was a city that wanted to do a redevelopment or a blighted area that the city wanted to help offer incentives or clean up themselves, the city could actually borrow money, or the county or the township or whoever it would be. So it's not necessarily for individual businesses, but the municipalities also would be eligible for that. And like Dan said, it excludes anything in the city of Rochester. Businesses or the city of Rochester would be eligible.
But not Olmsted County?
Yeah, Olmsted County, anything in Olmsted County.
No,
business.
Ulster County can still get it, just not the city of
Not the
Rochester.
city of Rochester.
Just not the
So-
city limits?
Right.
Rochester was
So
all-
Byron, city of Byron could, but if you were in the
Or
city limits of
Stewartville.
Rochester.
Yeah, there's 11 counties that
There.
list on the top of the
Yeah.
handout.
Yeah,
that we got.
probably because of their population.
So we approved at the council last week a letter of support, that we would be in support of them moving forward with this. So it was introduced in the Congress yesterday. Legislature.
And I'm also on the Southeast Minnesota League of Municipalities, and that's a group of 63 or 65 cities right now. And we passed it, support for it, and we're pushing for it at the state level too. So it's just another way, just to help Southeast Minnesota. I think it's,
It'd be another tool in the tool belt. The nice thing
Yeah.
is it's administered by Journey to Growth. So if a Casson city or a Casson business wanted to apply, they apply through Journey to Growth. So it's just something available to our citizens, but we don't necessarily have to have the labor to administer it.
Take care of it,
So,
yeah.
Which is nice.
cool, which is really nice.
Cool.
Who's Journey to Growth?
Journey to Growth got started, when, DMC, so it's a group that was formed at the same time that DMC was formed, basically. It's local,
It's more of a focus on Rochester is part of that too, but of the area surrounding Rochester. So Rochester's got DMC directly with the city of Rochester, what's going on directly there. Journey to Growth is focusing on the greater Rochester area and the opportunities and challenges that are gonna present everybody in that footprint.
And they meet where and when and what?
I have no idea when
they call them just meetings at different times.
Random.
Yeah, they're not but, I think they're,
they're become more of an entity in a way, but yeah, their focus is kind of regional economic diversification.
They work hand in hand with Rochester Area Economic Development, READY.
Okay.
Tim Penny is actually one of the volunteers on it, and he's part of Smith, and so it's gotten to be kind of widespread.
The last thing I have, Rochester Area Economic Development, Ryan Nolander. I talked with him a little bit, and I don't know if he came with Heather at all on the Journey to Growth stuff, but, he was wondering if the EDA, and maybe this should be more so directed at the council, would be interested in a presentation on READY and what their, initiative and purpose is, and what their goal is for, southeastern Minnesota and, the greater Rochester area, and how we may be able to play a role in that as possibly becoming, a community member, in READY. So, not sure if that's something that would be of interest to anyone, to have Ryan come present on what their organization does and stands for, to see if it's something we may want to be a part of in the future. The one really cool thing with READY is and I've talked to Ryan, a few times too, in providing him some information on what the city of Casson has to offer with regards to development opportunities. He sat down with Teresa and I at one point to talk about that, but being that Rochester doesn't have the land to develop, if a site selector or somebody contacts them, they work really hard to be able to promote the surrounding communities, like the Cassons, Byron, Stewartvilles of the world, to those site selectors if there's a property that may fit, to give us the opportunity to gain that business or residential development, whatever it may be. So they try and promote us, so having that relationship is a great one.
Have we ever supported them?
I don't know that we've ever, not that I'm aware of.
Years back, we had supported them by, like $1,000 a year or something for their help or whatever. But that, I may be wrong on it, but I thought we did that before any of you guys were on here.
Can you,
I'd be interested in having them come do a presentation
Yeah.
here at this
Yeah.
group.
Okay.
Because I was on that board when I first started.
Okay.
I'm on the 504 board, and I was on that and READY, and they said there was a conflict. And then they finally said that I had to resign from the READY because of the conflict, and then they found out later there wasn't a conflict between the two of them. So, but anyway,
can you
they do
tell me
really well.
anything that they promoted in Casson?
Boy, it's hard to say.
You know, one thing
I thought they did once on one of the, was it READY that did it? The plant that went in over in Byron?
How does that help Casson?
It would've brought jobs to Casson.
Oh.
The one that does,
Oh, Schmidt.
Brown Printing or Schmidt Printing?
Schmidt Printing.
I thought we were right in the end of it, and then lost it to them.
We did work at Byron, I do remember that.
Yeah. That was,
I mean, I would add that READY, Ryan is a new executive
Yeah.
director to READY, and I do, you know, they hired him out of Albert Lee, and he comes with a little bit more of a regional, the area emphasis, so I'd be interested in hearing what he has to say.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll set up a presentation with him then, I think it would be good, so, perfect. Anybody have any additional items for next month's agenda at all?
Take a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
No, right.
Yep.